Super Chief and the Super Scout. Both supers, both cruisers geared towards touring. But let's compare these two. Are you a Scout rider or are you a Chief rider? Both of these bikes are different. They have different engines, they have different displacements, they have different sizes, ergonomics. These are two bikes for two different people, and today we're going to talk about the differences between the two and see which one's right for you. Also, stick around till a little bit later where I take both of these two on the road and I give you my thoughts and opinions on how I think they feel comparatively speaking to each other after riding them back to back. 2025 Super Scout. This thing's awesome, man. It's the Scout geared towards touring. Today we're going to be talking about the differences of this bike comparatively speaking to that bike right there, which is a Chief. What do you prefer? So this is going to be the small, lightweight cruiser. It has these hard leather bags, leather on the outside, but they are actually stable. They're pretty secure. Lock it in. Obviously you cannot lock it, but it comes with that. It comes with the pillion seat and rear passenger pegs. You have pegs for the rider as well, along with a small brake lever instead of the little peg, and that glorious Speed Plus motor, which we will talk about later. Also, with the Super Scout, comparatively speaking to the other ones, you come with this windscreen. Fairly tall, blocks pretty much all the wind that you need. It is a little bit smaller than the one on the Chief, but again, everything on this bike is slightly smaller package, a little bit lighter, smaller wheels, but essentially it's a more ergonomically friendly, smaller package. So geared towards your lady riders, geared towards people that want just a smaller bike. Some people may not want a big Chief. So on the Chief right here, we also have hard leather bags, leather on the outside, hard plastic on the inside. I do find that these Chief bags are actually a little bit narrower onto the bike, to where I actually think that the bags on the Scout are actually a little bit bigger. But just like the Scout, we have pillion seat, rider pegs, except on the front end here, we have floorboards. Super duper tall windscreen, as is true for the Supers. Both of these have short fenders, spoke wheels, single-sided rotors, a little bit bigger on the Chief. Again, it's a Chief, it's a bigger bike. LED headlight on the Scout, new for the 2025 model year. This is a 24 Chief, but again, LED headlight. So outside of the obvious similarities, they're packaged the same. They both have leather bags, they both have windscreens, they both have passenger pillions. Obviously a little bit different on the Chief with the floorboards, but big 116 air-cooled Thunderstroke big twin. And we have the Speed Plus, the brand new motor, 1250cc Speed Plus. This is going to be the main difference. Obviously, if you're looking for a Chief, this is a bigger, heavier bike. It's going to be more substantial. It's going to be more comfortable in terms of riding on the highway because it's going to get blown around less. It's a bigger bike. It's just going to be more stable. The Scout, on the other hand, is going to block a lot of wind, and I'm not saying that it's not stable, it's just not as stable. But on the flip side of that, there is something that does come with being a little bit lighter. It's going to be easier to handle, it's going to be a little bit more flickable, it's going to be a little bit easier to maneuver back and forth. Now, I will say this, after riding both of these bikes, if you are traditional air-cooled and you enjoy that bike, by all means get it. If you prefer the newer water-cooled design, you don't have to worry about overheating, traffic, any of that stuff, by all means get the Speed Plus motor. From a perspective, me as a rider, I enjoy revving, I enjoy power, I enjoy top end. An air-cooled motor is never gonna be able to provide that the same way that the new designed water-cooled motor, 4 valves per cylinder. I believe it has variable valve timing. This is the correct information right here. So just being honest with you, a bunch of honking torque down low, that has torque down low and power up top. The way that I prefer power to be delivered is met by the Scout and not the Chief. So that's the basic breakdown between these two bikes. Now let's actually go out on the road and see if I can feel a difference when I hop on one bike and go on the other. We're gonna go ahead and hop on the Scout, tell you what I feel, hop on the Chief, tell you what I feel, let you know what I think afterwards, how that power is, how the brakes are, how the mannerisms are, and who should buy this bike. Also understanding, I did a full ride review on a Sport Chief. If you want to check out the full review and not just the comparison to the actual Scout itself, click on this video right here. And I did a full review on the 2025 Sport Scout. If you want to see that video versus comparison to the Chief, click on this video right here. All right, so here we are taking off on the 2025 Indian Super Scout. And this is going to be more of a comparison, like I said, of the Scout versus the Chief than the Supers themselves, because it's all going to be true for the Chief and the Scout lineup. The main difference is going to be the screen and the bag, a little bit of ergo stuff here and there, but essentially, who's going to be buying this 2025 Indian Scout? Oh yeah, compared to the Indian Chief. We're gonna go around some slow speed stuff and then tell you guys a little bit about the windscreen speed, yada yada. So here we are going around this slower speed stuff. is where the Scout is gonna shine over the Chief. If you are a smaller rider, I'm 5'10", and I'm about as big as you can be on this bike. Can you be a little bit taller? Yes, but you would need to make accommodations to the stock forwards. Indian has an adapter to make the fronts forwards a little bit farther forward, so 2 more inches forward than they are, and you would need that if you're a little bit taller than me. This seat holds me in place, keeps me upright, but I'm about as comfortable as I get. If I were any taller, these forwards would feel like mids. However, if you're a little bit shorter, 5'8", 5'6", maybe 5'4", if you're the female variety, this is going to be the perfect seat height for you. It's going to be the perfect feel. Also, the windscreen is going to be still above you if you're 5'4", 5'6". It literally blocks everything right here, but I'm still getting a clean gust of air in my head, so my vents are getting wind, and I can still, you know, hear a little bit of wind around this area. But the Scout itself is a smaller bike. You're gonna have more pep. This stuff right here, it's gonna feel a lot more peppy. It's gonna feel a lot more nimble. It's gonna feel quicker back and forth. So if you go on a little bit more aggressive, spirited rides, you're probably gonna enjoy this bike a little bit more, because right here, it's a lot faster to turn and a lot quicker to kind of accelerate out of the turn. This is a new bike with new tires, gotta take it easy, than the Chief is. So it also depends on what type. It's pretty quick, man. I will tell you this, I know this from the seat of the pants. The new Scout with the Speed Plus is faster than the Thunderstroke side by side, both going at it. It just is. It has more carry, it makes power a little bit differently, it has more horsepower. So if you want the faster bike, you want more speed and acceleration, you're gonna get that from this Scout. The Chief will give you torque, this will give you power and revs. So if you like to rev, if you like to be a little bit more aggressive on the throttle, if you like to stay in gear longer, you're gonna have more fun on the Scout. It's just more easy to flick around right here. Back and forth, it's a lighter bike. If you're smaller, if you're a newer rider and you're of the size, I would say 6 foot and below, I'm 5'10", definitely the Scout is gonna be a little bit more comfortable for you. Now I will say this, cruising 65 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour on the Scout is gonna be a little bit more daunting than on the Chief. It's a smaller bike, so you're gonna feel semis and trucks and other cars. That's gonna have a little bit more of an effect on you than it will on the Chief, 100%. It is less stable of a bike, it's smaller, it's lighter. That's just how it works. God, man, this new Speed Plus motor is a beast. Now, let's go ahead and flip onto the Indian Chief, where I can talk about that bike and where its benefits are. And just being honest with you guys, just honesty, the Scout is the faster bike. It's lighter, it makes more horsepower, it makes slightly less torque, but we're talking there's a 20 foot-pound of torque difference, but an extra 20 horsepower. So horsepower is related to speed, torque is related to acceleration. So the fact that the Scout has more power literally means it is a faster bike. It is also lighter, so it does more with its weight. So if you were looking for a faster tourer, go with the Scout. If you're looking for a bigger, more stable, more comfortable tourer, go with the Chief. All right, taking off here on the Super Chief. Very different machine. Immediately, the first thing that I notice, obviously it's a bigger bike, but it's a little bit more delayed in the inputs. Obviously, it's bigger, larger. The turn-in is a little different. You gotta be a little bit more confident in yourself because it's just a heavier bike. Let's go ahead and turn into this neighborhood right here so we can talk about the slow speed mannerisms and kind of compare the two. Headed into the slow speed stuff, getting on this bike and getting off of the Scout, the first thing that I notice is like a breath of fresh air. This bike is just more large in general. It makes you feel more relaxed. My arms are a little bit further apart from each other. The bars are wider. My legs are a little bit further apart. There's more bike in the middle of me. Like my legs have to be further apart to sit them on these floorboards. There's a slight level of comfort that the floorboards provide over the pegs. However, I know that you can get floorboards on the Scout, so that really isn't a thing. But the fact that this comes with it from the factory, specifically on this model, is actually pretty nice. In terms of the power, it's deceptive, because it gives you a lot of torque, which I've discussed the difference between horsepower and torque, but you get a lot of get up and go, especially in sport mode. By the way, the Scout was in sport mode and this is in sport mode as well. On this bike, the throttle feels a little bit twitchy at this low speed stuff because of the torque, and we're in second gear, 2000 RPMs. Like, this bike really does, with the torque, kind of hop around a little bit, make you feel like you want to go. In standard mode, that is a lot more tame, just being honest with you, but you get that on here. On this bike, you can be in a lot bigger number of a gear, a lot taller gear, at a lot slower speeds. For example, I'm going 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour, and this bike is happy in third gear. And I'm about to not stop completely, but going 15 miles an hour, third gear, and this bike is completely unaffected. There is 2000 RPM, 30, and we can go. But for the quicker stuff, when you start giving it throttle, it doesn't have that carry that Scout does. So it is a slower bike. But that section, I'm a lot quicker, a lot snappier. It's not that this bike doesn't handle fast. It does, for the size of the bike. So the other bike, the Scout, is faster, and this is fast for the size of the bike, which means that, you know, the Scout's a little bit snappier. Right here, it just doesn't carry the same. Does it go? Yes. Does it go effortlessly? But the top end power just isn't there. I will say this, the Chief is for a taller person, 100%. If you're 6'2", 6'3", this bike will do it. And it's not that it's not fast, it's a quick bike. You actually move, you accelerate. I just know that side by side, you know, the Scout will outrun it. But for this right here, 55 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, this bike feels a lot more stable. The windscreen is taller. It's definitely blocking everything on my face. It's blocking most of my helmet. I don't even really feel wind right here on the side. It's kind of just brushing over the top. So this bike, having a little bit more heft, a little bigger windscreen, does block a lot more. Obviously the bobbers, they don't have the screen. The Sport has the quarter fairing, so that's different from bike to bike. But on this one, you just feel more stable, man. You feel more planted. If you're going on long rides and you don't care about speed in particular, this bike feels better. It feels better for longer cruises. It feels better for more touring casual rides. If you're the person that wants to rip it and just kind of go, that new Speed Plus in the Scout is gonna do it for you over this bike. One thing that you also have to be aware of on the Chief, it is a bigger bike. Brakes take a little bit longer, front to rear, to stop. You have to put a little bit more input in. They take a little bit more time to respond. So if you are a more relaxed, lackadaisical rider, it may be to your benefit. If you are a quick, snappy rider, you're gonna get a lot more sporty response out of the Scout than you will on this bike. And we're gonna turn around because it's gonna start raining. Slow speed maneuvers, I mean, I can do them. I'm a fairly experienced rider, but you have to put a little bit more thought into moving this bike around. It just kind of is what it is. It still goes. You're still accelerating, but it doesn't give you that snappy pushback in the seat that the Scout does. And strangely enough, right here, since the screen's a little bit taller and it's hitting the top of my helmet and not giving me a full clean gust, I do have a little bit more turbulence. But again, that affects rider height. So if you're a little taller, you get a clean gust of air. It takes the turbulence away. If you're a little shorter, you're clear under it, and it takes it away because it's not hitting you at all. So again, that's just one of those things that is just me. In terms of random things that I noticed, obviously the switch gears are going to be a little bit newer on the 2025. This still has the old switch gears, but they both have cruise control. The Scout does on certain models. The same thing here. It depends on the model that you get. But the Chief is going to be for your older, more relaxed rider. The person that's not going to be out there ripping it. If you're still a little bit on the hoon side, I would say the Scout's probably better for you, unless you happen to be just like 6'5", in which case, sorry bro, you're just too big for the bike. But if you are a average size person, as I am, I'm 5'10", and you want to go a little faster, go with the Scout. If you have a little bit more relaxed, stable rides where you go long distance or you go on longer straight treks, I would definitely pick this bike because it's more comfortable. I mean, even here, 1500 RPMs, it like still gets that carry. It's snappy with torque, but it doesn't carry as much, and it is what it is. I kind of said that when I was on the Sport Chief.
So it just depends on the type of power that you're looking for. That's not necessarily a bad thing. If you're looking for an air-cooled big twin, you are not going to be happy with the Scout, 100%. It's going to feel weird, it's going to be different, but if you are looking and you don't really care for the air-cooled, water-cooled thing, and you just want like a bike that whee, handles what you're going to put it through, now I will say this. When that Chief lineup gets that Power Plus motor, oh boy is it on. This bike with a Power Plus motor, absolutely walk on the Scout. Absolutely, because then it has the speed, it's stable, has the weight, has the benefit of being a bigger, larger bike, but it's gonna have the speed, right? It's kind of like a trade-off. Do you want speed and balance, or do you want heft and stability, right? That's kind of like the trade-off that you're going for, obviously outside of the physical size difference. But if you get the Chief with the Power Plus motor, you get the heft, you get the stability, you get the speed, you get, I mean everything, right? You get everything. And then on this bike, you also get the comfort of the larger wide. It's just, man, Indian, give us a Chief with a Power Plus motor. That's just a random guy asking.
Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate you guys looking at this video, checking out to see if you would be interested in a Scout or a Chief, seeing which one's best for you. Glad I could provide some value. I would like you guys to know, doesn't matter what you ride, motorcycles are fun. If you enjoyed this video, want to check out some other Indian content, check out this video right here.